Well, welcome back, my wonderful Wastelanders, to our vault. The Sanctuary Mountain Vault, that is. It is I, your Overseer, Boland, and Pan, and Darcy as well. We're still putting in a lot of elbow grease to ensure that our operations are running smoothly at the moment, but I think that they might run a bit smoother with some proper research. What do you say? We're beginning with Vault Tech Nutrifier, mostly because it's a prerequisite for some other items, but it will give us some Vault Tech cooking production areas, nutrient paste dispensers, yada yada, nothing too special. Something that is quite special, however, is the brand new section of the vault that we are currently mining out. As of right now, we have the absolute basics, you could say, with that being some residential areas as well as a place to eat and also kind of store some stuff, but something that we don't yet have that is absolutely crucial to day-to-day operations and just the vault as a whole is going to be an overseer's office. We made sure that it was pretty decently sized, that way we could at the very least fit everyone that is going to be living within the vault in here if for some reason maybe we have some type of board meeting with all the residents of the vault. I'm not really sure, but we would also begin with some comfortable seating as well as a desk and also, of course, Boland's very own terminal. This is a terminal where we can actually keep our logs of trade records like our trade caravans with the NCR once we get that up and running, as well as other Wastelander groups, governments, factions, so on and so forth, as well as maybe some personal notes and also maybe a game or two of Grognak the Barbarian. Now, for a time, we would mostly just focus on trying to get some research done after finishing up the Overseer's office, but this was rudely interrupted by a group of raiders from the Javelin group. By my count, there appeared to be about 5 or so of them, armed to the absolute teeth and pretty well armored for the most part as well. Since we were easily outnumbered, we decided to take cover in some of the rooms to the north of our vault. Now, this would allow us to get some initial cheap shots in, but as they started coming towards the area, we would have to flee back towards our defenses and then ultimately back inside the vault, hoping that our scrap turrets would be able to handle this fight for us. But to be honest with you, that didn't really seem like it was going to be the case. The raiders were already dug in deep behind all of the wreckage and ruins, and our turrets were hardly able to hit them. Thankfully though, we're not afraid to defend our home, so we would come out and start picking off the raiders one by one, giving our turrets a bit of a helping hand, you could say. But as we began to approach north at the same ruins that we had initially taken cover in, the raiders were dug in very, very deep, and it seemed like it was going to be damn near impossible to root them out. Our turrets were distracting some of them, but their leader by the name of Hirat appeared to be quite a genius and, well, was obviously very perceptive to where we were at all times somehow. Luckily though, with enough persistence, we would be able to trick him and another of the raiders into close quarters combat with us, where at which point we would kill their leader and down the other. There was only one who still remained, and we wanted to take her prisoner, but unfortunately we shot her in the heart. Whoopsie, that's a shame, but at least we have the raider by the name of Shorty here who's bleeding out in the dirt. Stop that, young man, as you are going to be coming with us. We patched him up real nice-like and took him to his very own room. See, those raiders wouldn't give you this, buddy. Maybe you should join us instead. Think about it. The raiders would also drop many useful items like stim packs, a Dictol, and even some classic Nuka-Cola. A sweet, sugary surprise. Oh, and they also dropped a pretty sweet-ass pipe rifle. Don't mind if I do. Anyhow, though, back to business. Now, since we had this raid, and I noticed that those raiders were giving us quite a hard time, as you saw there, and most of that is due to the fact that we have a lot of rock chunks, a lot of scrap metal chunks, as well as a lot of old pre-war ruins in the area that they could take cover in, so we started cleaning all that shit up. But in the middle of this, it would seem that Boland and Pan are getting married, so we're gonna take a quick break from all the cleanup. I'm guessing Pan's nerves as a bride-to-be were getting the better of her as she decided to smoke a fat blunt before saying her vows. but after a little bit, the two of them were newlyweds. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, ladies, but it would seem that the overseer is no longer a bachelor anymore. Eat your heart out, soul survivor. Alright, back to business for real this time. Now, speaking of Pan, though, you may notice an issue. Now, this is not only an issue that Pan is facing, but all of us are facing, and that is hypothermia. Fall and winter are upon us, and they are very cold, especially here in the nuclear wasteland, so we need to begin making ourselves some proper jackets out of waste leather and other leather textile-like materials that we have so we don't freeze. Ah, there we are. No more frostbite for us. Now, the color is a little bit off, but we'll fix that later. As for now, we need to finish up our cleanup and deconstruction of all the stuff that is causing us a few issues out front in front of the vault here. With our jackets, we didn't really face any issues, and we're not freezing to death anymore, so that was super sweet and cool, and it didn't take us long at all to get it finished. And once we were finally completed with that, we also had finished up our research into Vault Tech Nutrifiers, which is going to kinda sorta help us out, but as mentioned before, it is mostly just a prerequisite tech, so we're gonna continue moving down the tech tree. We would also end up convincing the raider, known as Shorty, to join our ranks. We were happy to have him since he already knows his way around a pistol. I'm sure he'll be great at helping us defend ourselves. And it would seem he's also pretty good at doing some mindless tasks like cutting up stone chunks into stone blocks. This will become important later as I have a little bit of a project in mind. But it would seem population growth is not slowing down anytime soon, as we have a nice young lad by the name of John looking to join us here completely free of charge, minus room and board, of course. We quickly accepted, and the nice lad was on his way here with his backpack and bandolier in tow. Of course, we had our weapons drawn, just you never could be too safe around these parts, but it would seem indeed he is not a threat. On the contrary, this nice, handsome fella isn't even a fella after all. He's a little fella of about 16 years of age, just a wee lad. And we could use a nice, strong, young lad with a sturdy back who can lift up some stone blocks because we are going to be building our defenses around the front of the vault. Now, of course, we don't want to do anything too drastic, but I think something like a city entrance almost is a good idea. Not only do we want to have a nice thriving vault, but we also want to continue cooperating with everyone in the wasteland and helping those in need, and also maybe making some caps off a few of them as well. Truly only time will tell as to what becomes of our vault here and if we end up creating some type of thriving city or whatever, but I do know for a fact right now we need to be able to defend whatever we decide to create. This little project came not a moment too soon as well. As you can see, we have a group of different pirates, or two separate groups of course, who are going to war in our territory here, not near the vault thankfully, but in the outskirts of our lands. It's reasons like, well, this as to why we need these defenses. If those two groups were to get a wild hair, decide to team up and try to kill us instead, that would be no bueno. And thus why we need to have at least some type of defense that we can funnel them into a certain section and blow them all to hell with our rifles. You get it. Anywho though, for the coming days and weeks, now that we don't have to worry about those two groups of pirates coming for us, we would be able to focus ourselves on finishing up these walls around the entrance of the vault, which we would do. For now, we're still going to be using scrap turrets as well as spike traps. Eventually, though, I'd like to move up to some different other types of traps, like bear traps, which are reusable, and of course, much better turrets. For the time being, though, I think that our vault is well secured, even more so than before, which I didn't quite think was possible, to be honest with you, with our great big gear door. But surviving the wasteland means withstanding the wasteland and everything that it can throw at you, and this is a big part of that. Also, having a bit of a buffer zone really helps out with mad animals, which are far too common nowadays with all the radiation and whatnot. But we've been working far too much on the outside of the vault, which really isn't even the vault at all. It's time for some internal expansion once more, finally. In the western quadrant here of the vault, we are going to be adding in just a few more bedrooms, really, nothing too spectacular. However, these bedrooms rooms are quite a bit better than the previous ones that we've built, at least in terms of their furnishings. Which is due in part, and mostly due, to the fact that we've recently researched some proper vault furniture. Speaking of research, we are now going to begin on batteries, something that, yes, we should have completed in the very beginning, but better late than never. While we're working on that research project, though, we are also upgrading all of our current residential bedrooms with some proper vault furniture as well. This way we can ensure everyone is nice and comfy in their rooms and everyone is equal. We easily finished up research into batteries, as one might imagine when you have an intellect like Boland's behind the wheel. Oh, what an overseer, a genius. Now that we can actually build some proper batteries to store all of the power for the vault, we also have this same little kind of like furnace room here that's going to have to suffice for power generation until we can research a proper reactor. And since of course all of our power is coming from wood-fired generators, we are going to be performing a little bit of deforestation on these mutated forests in the nearby vicinity, and we're going to be stacking all those logs up in our new power room here. If there's a bad threat and we have to seal ourselves within, we want to make sure that we can keep our power going for quite a while. And while we're at improving the place, I thought it might be a good idea to go ahead and upgrade our kitchen and dining room with a proper vault-tech cooking area as well as a table with some dining benches. This way we can seat more people and it's just a more fun experience overall. With all these construction projects we're doing, I almost forgot to mention that we had a waste rat self-tame. What a beautiful mutated lumpy, yellow, joyous fellow. If you guys have any names for this little critter, be sure to leave them in the comment section down below, and I will try to choose one by next episode. Thank you in advance. But no time to continue naming critters in the area, as it would appear that we are being attacked by a group of super mutants. There's a decent-sized group of them, some super mutant and some nightkin, one of which seems to have gotten his little purple hands on a plasma pistol. We'd like to get our hands on that, but getting close enough to take it without getting shot by it, that's another story. They also seem to have chained up a Deathclaw, but this isn't any normal Deathclaw. Perhaps it's sentient? Again, I don't know if we'll be able to get close enough to tell. Either way, though, it would seem that they are going to be bringing the fight to us. It's a good thing that we got our defenses set up a few weeks back. As they began approaching our entrance, our spike traps began doing quite a number on their big jolly green legs, and our scrap turrets were keeping them nice and distracted, thankfully. This would allow us the opportunity to retreat back into our walls where we could take cover behind the exact same embrasures that our turrets are using to fire out at the mutants. And this was kinda sorta working. We had a few of our people falling, but many of the mutants had already died or become crippled up on our traps, so the remaining one or so ended up fleeing the area. Lucky us, I'm not sure how much longer Boland and Darcy could hold down the fort by themselves. We definitely need some more turrets. Hey, remember that Deathclaw that I said might kinda sorta be sentient? Well, apparently he is, and we're tending to his wounds and we're going to be rescuing him. He doesn't speak a lick of English though, some other language. Not sure. I think if we pet him on the head though and feed him plenty of meat, he might just want to be our buddy. And at the end of the day, we had defeated those filthy super mutants and stopped their diabolical raid. They may have done a little bit of damage, but we could put out fires and repair our walls and we'll be good as new. And of course we'll need to sweep up all of their filthy, rotting, mutilated corpses as well as getting all these meals and guns and whatnot hauled in, as those might just come in handy. Speaking of which, as our overseer, I decided to give Boland here our plasma pistol. Not only because he's our leader and he makes all the decisions, but also because he's a pretty damn good shot as well. Now, I know what you're thinking, well, right, Daddy, anybody can hit a stationary mountain. Well, now listen, if that mountain could run and it was carrying a pipe rifle, he'd do just as well, if not better. It is important to remember, though, that all these new weapons and what have you did come at a cost. His wife's left arm, it would seem in this case. Not that we had much of a choice in that matter, I'm afraid. Now then, when it comes to the expansion of our vault once more... Oh, what's this? It would seem that there's been sightings of a large bear with 2 heads, massive paws, and thick fur, called a California grizzly bear. Oh my. An extremely rare and legendary creature, and so it was. Absolutely massive, absolutely deadly, no doubt, but also quite beautiful. I would like to tame it, but there's an 80% chance of it attacking us upon a failed tame, and I don't think we could do it, to be honest with you, and I don't want anyone else to die, so back to the vault and all its expansion we go instead. We're actually going to be digging out something of a recreation room, a nice leisure area for all of our vault dwellers, and we are going to be packing it to the absolute gills with some beautiful waste leather rugs, as well as many, and I do mean many, a recreational item that will keep people entertained for a few minutes, probably. We've got about 3 or so dartboards, and then we also have our chess table, a punching bag, and some lounge chairs. It may not seem like it, and you might not be able to see it, but we've actually got a beautiful mural painted in here to look just like the outside world before all the wasteland and death and radiation and mutations, and it looks absolutely beautiful. This way they can get a feel for what it used to be like. But as one might imagine, the vault requires an absolute cubic shit ton of steel, so we are mining up every last little drop that we can get when we're not being attacked by mutated deer, that is, which is actually more often than you might think. But yes, indeed, we do need as much steel as humanly possible, because everything in the vault requires steel. The walls, the flooring, the rugs. Okay, not the rugs, but everything else. Outside of the mountain, though, something else that requires a lot of steel are scrap turrets, and we are filling up every single one of our little guard posts here with a scrap turret to help protect us. As our community gets larger and larger, and we get richer and richer, word will spread across the wasteland, and more foes will rear their ugly heads. Now, for our next research project, we are going to begin working on biofuel refining, as it is, of course, going to be a much better fuel source and way of producing power than wood-fired generators. Obviously, still nothing even close to a vault reactor, but a little bit better than what we currently have. An absolutely wonderful suggestion from our friend Six-Wing Zombie, who is also saying that we should grow up our power as a stopgap for now and a backup system for later, and I think that the Overseer believes this to be a wonderful idea. I asked him, you see, and, well, yeah, he said it was a great idea, so thank you ever so much. Speaking of the Overseer, his wife Pan here has decided to rehabilitate the large Deathclaw, the sentient Deathclaw that is, and though it doesn't speak a lick of English, it seems to be fairly friendly with us for now. I guess you could go ahead and take those chains off, big fella. Here's hoping we don't regret this decision. It may be sentient, but I think if it starts starving, it might revert back to its more primitive ways. We'll see. One thing about that Deathclaw, though, it is butt-ass naked, so we need to make it a proper outfit. This would take a lot of wool and a lot of time, but eventually we had a nice vault suit for it. This would help us tell it apart from the more barbaric Deathclaws out in the wasteland, so we know which one's ours, and also he won't be naked, because he, you know, is kind of stupid sexy, so it did look a bit goofy, but once we got some metal armor on and a nice big chunk of rebar with concrete sticking off the end of it for him to smash our enemies with, I think he looks pretty badass. Now that we've got that taken care of, we are going to be moving our research equipment into Bolin, the Overseer's bedroom. Not exactly the most ideal place for it, but this is going to free up a lot of room in our storage facility. It was Bolin's idea, though, such a selfless Overseer. Now that he can basically jump right into research out of bed, we finally finished up biofuel refining, and we can start making ourselves a refinery as well as some some chem fuel generators. Now, at the moment, I'm not going to completely phase out our wood-fired generators, as really the only material in the area that we currently have access to refine into chem fuel is also wood. So we're still currently very much reliant on the forest of the area until we come up with a better plan. You don't just need wood to go about making chem fuel. You can also make it out of other organics like meat. One particular meat in the area that not even our wastelanders are willing to eat is insectoid meat. It is very bitter and tastes like dirt. So we decided to give it a try. We started hunting down insectoids in the area near the reactors and nuclear waste piles, chopping them up into fine stacks of meat, and then that disgusting pale meat would end up getting turned into chem fuel. For now, we're not going to be burning the chem fuel. Like I mentioned, we still have plenty of wood, but if something were to happen, it would be nice for us to have a nice stockpile of chem fuel already here and ready to go to power the vault. Perhaps one of the best things about this as well is the fact that these ancient reactors will continue spawning insectoids unless they are destroyed. I suppose they attract them from underground and they all come here. To be honest with you, if we weren't eating all this insect jelly from them, we could probably use that for chem fuel as well, which is something we might end up doing, to be honest with you. We'll see. Now, something else I would like to see about, though, is, we are actually building up walls on the outside of the vault, and should we turn that into maybe something of a city? Should we do that? And also, should we end up maybe building some businesses with hospitality where we can sell things and also rent places out? Now, I know that I do that in a lot of series lately, or at least the past few series have been kind of focused on that. I don't want to completely focus on that in this one, but it could be a very interesting part of our business here, and it could just be on the outside of the vault or the inside, whatever you guys think. That's kind of part of why I wanted to get your feedback. If it's on the outside, maybe we kind of just collect money from them with our businesses, and then if shit really hits the fan, we seal ourselves inside. Just throwing a few ideas out there, but please let me know what you think. Now then, you might be wondering what our beautiful vault dwellers are mining out here, and this is actually going to be our prison, our little jail when people are misbehaving, and also for any raiders who we end up taking prisoner that we would like to see if they might make a good fit here in the vault to help us out, depending on whether or not they want to live a comfortable life here with us or scrape up Brahmin shit off the streets and eat it for the rest of their lives. Their decision, really. We're also going to be swapping out our radioactive beats for a moment, as we have quite the stockpile for some dyes. I need these dyes so that we can all really begin looking the part. Too many mismatched clothes, you know what I'm saying? And while we're waiting on those to grow, we have quite a few Vault-Tec antidepressants, Addictol, and a few other different textiles and things that we would like to actually get rid of and maybe make a pretty penny on. So we're going to be taking these to the nearest NCR base. It was just down the road from the vault, so traveling there wouldn't be too treacherous, thankfully. I'd like to maybe become allies with them, and perhaps if we do end up creating some businesses here, we could end up getting quite a few customers and clientele from this settlement. It always pays to be a friend to the NCR. Upon our arrival back home, we ended up making about 384 NCR dollars. That's right, these are not caps, these are not silver. It is important to mention, though, many of the NCR settlements will accept silver in exchange for their very own dollar, though the currency conversion isn't exactly match for match. But if you want to do business with the big dogs, you gotta play by their rules. By the time that our trade caravan had finally returned home, our dyes were grown just enough that we could harvest them and swap them back out for growing some proper food. But with these dyes, we would immediately begin trying to dye our clothing to a proper Vault-Tec blue. Not only do we all look spiffy as all hell, but it also helps to build a sense of belonging, a sense of community, some uniform connectivity. I don't know, I'm just saying words at this point, but damn do we look good. Next up on the docket is building a high-tech research table and getting rid of the old shabby wooden one that we have been using, as we have some very high-tech research to complete. And this this particular case, it is Vault-Tec production techniques, which is a prerequisite for a few things, but will also allow us to create our very own Pip-Boys. Yes, just what the doctor ordered. Speaking of doctors, we need some proper medical facilities, something like a hospital in this vault, don't we? We don't have anything like that at the moment, and if people were to get, I don't know, malaria, like our poor friend John here, they could end up dying without the proper facilities to nurse them back to health. Don't worry though, John, you'll probably be fine. Your immunity's doing okay. Probably. We would end up having yet another prisoner exchange caravan from the NCR approaching the vault. At which point, of course, we would do some trading with them, and we ended up purchasing ourselves a prisoner by the name of Waleed. A handsome, tattooed, bald gentleman who is quite hairless. Look at that, you'll never find a shred of hair on him. I said he's handsome, but apparently he's actually pretty ugly to most people. Maybe I just see the beauty and where others do, I don't know, but he's actually very good at many other skills, one of which, of course, being melee, probably his best, as you can see, and with that he is also a brawler. So, we would end up equipping him with some knuckle dusters. This way he can bash in brains with his fist just like he likes to do. Not to worry, we've got a pipe pistol in his pocket in case he needs it, but I think this is more his style. He's also pretty good at construction, which would be absolutely perfect as we are finishing up our little hospital here, where we're going to have several operation rooms in case we need to do some emergency surgeries or stitch up maybe some cuts or bullet holes from raids, as well as also some normal beds for people to rest from other things like diseases. We also have a terminal in there where we can keep up-to-date records on everyone's medical conditions and had their status of how they're doing, yada yada yada. Sometime after that, and we finally finished up our research into Vault-Tec production techniques, and this is absolutely incredible. You see, with allowing us to make Pip-Boys, this new production area also allows us to craft our very own components out of steel, which is amazing, as we use a lot of them. But you fine people don't care about that. You want to see a proper Pip-Boy, don't you? Well, you are in luck. The very first of what we hope to be many, linking up with all of our other Vault-Tec systems, this is going to make our work around the vault and just operations and just everything in general that much better. Naturally, it only makes sense that we would give our first to the Overseer, so Boland quickly strapped it onto his wrist. As well as convenience sake, it also increases many things like shooting accuracy, medical tin speed and quality, movement speed, carrying capacity, so on and so forth, even if just by a little bit. But my friends, we actually have a fully functional and self-sustaining vault by this point, exactly what we had hoped to achieve. Now, of course, I'm not finished. By far, we are not finished. We hope to have this entire mountain, essentially, as our vault at some point, but I think the main goal here, the base of it all, is achieved, and we're going to try to continue expanding, but also focusing on a few other things as well, such as maybe even growing a little hospitality city with plenty of businesses, or perhaps exploring the vast wasteland. One thing is for sure, we definitely have the manpower to do so now, but I'll leave that up to you guys. If you want to see me explore, if you want to see us grow a massive hospitality city, you let me know what you'd like. And your friend the Overseer will get it done for you. But until then, I'll see you later. Hello, I just wanted to pop in at the end of the video and say thank you all ever so much for watching today's episode, and thank you all for supporting this series. Episode 1 is very much hype, and it seems like you guys really liked it, and it's doing really well, so I very much appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys liking the videos and subscribing and all that great stuff and commenting what you'd like to see and everything. It means a lot to me, and yeah, you guys are awesome. I just really appreciate you and love you very much. But I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.